watching baseball the other day, and something reminded me of a former athlete that we had back when I worked for a company called Exos down in the Dallas, Texas area. And this athlete was a pitcher in the major leagues, and he had this chronic elbow issue that was constantly getting better, then getting worse. Every time he would try to return to pitch, it would then flare up again, no matter how well rehab went. And we were just struggling to really figure out what was going on and what was it that we were not addressing. We had addressed everything we could think of. We made sure that his shoulder was as strong as possible to therefore support his elbow, that the muscles in his forearm and so on were at the highest level they could be, that these muscles weren't just strong, but they were able to function in positions that are so important for pitching, and they're able to dynamically, right as we move, stabilize the golf ball that is our shoulder on the golf tee really effectively with the high speeds that we need to when we're pitching. And we looked at even closer in his rib cage and in his back and his spine and his trunk, making sure that he had the rotation that was needed and that he was really strong in his core and all that kind of stuff we need to look at when we're dealing with a throwing athlete. Yet he was continuing to have this elbow issue despite the fact that all these boxes were checked. And finally, one day he had mentioned that he had this toenail issue. He was right-handed on his right foot, in his right big toe. And so that set off a little light bulb for yours truly here. And we took a look at it, and it turns out he had a pretty aggravated ingrown toenail on that side. And come to find out, it was impacting how he pushed off of the rubber when he was on the mound. Therefore, he wasn't driving off of his right leg as hard, causing him to essentially up the chain, have to arm the ball a little more than he would otherwise to generate the velocity that is necessary at that level. And that was causing all this stress to accumulate on his medial elbow, creating these chronic elbow issues as he specifically drove off of the rubber when he got to that stage. So we helped him find the right person to address his toenail issue, did our thing from the rehab standpoint, and lo and behold, he's able to turn out just fine. So share this story because it is a good reminder as to how everything up and down the chain can impact the reason why an athlete is in rehab in the first place. So if you are a throwing athlete or the parent of a throwing athlete, we need to think beyond just what's happening at the arm and the shoulder and the elbow. And a lot of times we understand that, right? We can look then inside at the trunk and so on, but understanding that we need to look all the way up and down the chain, especially when it comes to our training. We can't be ignoring the other parts of the body in our training, understanding the influence that has towards the more commonly injured areas that we see. And it doesn't just apply to throwers, it applies to all sorts of different athletes. If you're a runner, we can't just ignore upper body training. Right? Our arm swing and what we do in the upper body and our torso impacts how much power we put into the ground when we're going stride for stride throughout the course of a given race. So if you're somebody out there who's looking to dial in their training a little bit, or maybe if you have a chronic issue that has just not been solved, we may need to look outside the box a bit beyond just the obvious basic things. And if that sounds like you, contact us. We would love to be able to help.